Welcome back to day 2 of 12 games of Christmas with me. My Scratch username is MrHill26. If you want to know more about it, check out yesterday's video from day 1. We're going to get straight into it today. Thank you so much for those of you who have already been into my studio and added some projects under the 12 games of Christmas. Remember, just copy that link into the top box and you can add your game through that. Don't forget to follow the studio as well, or even add a comment if you've got any questions or tips that you guys want to share. So day 2's featured game comes from CobraMan27 and it's called Dodgeball Ultimate. It is a work in progress, that's what WIP means. But let's have a look anyway. I love on the menu screen straight away how you can hover over each button and you get that little green image. I'm going to talk to you about that later on. Let's have a little game. So it appears it's a 2-player game, or you can play against the computer, and the idea is to avoid this yellow orb, which looks like it's moving around randomly. That's really important in many games, to have a random element to it. And we've got to try and dodge them. Oh, and there we go, so blue gets the victory. What a great simple game. We've got our username up there as well, which is a nice touch, as well as a point score too. What I really like about Dodgeball Ultimate is the profile. You can actually select loads of different skins, I guess, faces for your character, and you don't have to pay for these, they're all available. And it made me think about perhaps what I could chat about today in our top tips. There's also a shop too, and I believe coming soon there's going to be some more features, including a save game feature. So really nice game, CobraMan27. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. I'll put the link to the game below the video. So I want to talk about costumes, in particular that idea that when you click on a costume, you can see a different skin. Now that's fairly easy to do. I've got a Scratch Cat here with 4 different skins, and I'm really quickly going to show you that with the code, when this sprite clicked, we can choose next costume and keep changing the costume. But what if we want to change the costume based on perhaps the score that the player has, or the points, so that we only unlock skins for our characters if they have a certain amount of points? So I've got 4 different costumes here, and I'm going to take away that code so it says when this sprite clicked, and I'm going to drop in this one here, and this basically simply says if the score is less than 10, then keep that costume. Switch costume to costume 1. So as long as my score is less than 10 and I try and click on the Scratch Cat, it isn't going to change my costume. It's going to stick to skin number 1 no matter what I do. Even if I've got a score higher than 11 though, it's not going to change anything either, and that's because I've not put any extra bit of code in. So what I'm going to do is if you've noticed, I've used an if and else, and that's really important that we have an if and else block here. So if the score is not less than 10, it must be higher than 10, but I don't want them to have every costume just yet. So I'm going to add in another block which looks very similar. And this block says if the score is less than 20, you can change the costume. But notice that it's only letting me change to the next costume, and that's because I've got this part here which says if the costume number is greater than 2, put it back to the start. If I take that out, you can see I can click all of the different costumes, but when I pop it back in again, I can only go up to costume number 2 and back again. And that's because each costume has its own number, and so I can use that really effectively. Now, if I want to do that over and over again, it's really simple. I just need to change it to an if-else. I need to keep repeating the if-else blocks. So this time, I've got an if-else is less than 20, and I can drop in an if less than 30, and I can keep going as long as I've got costumes. So now we've changed the costume number to greater than 3 because we've now got a chance to have 3 different costumes. And you can see now that I can choose between 3 different skins, 3 different costumes, because my score is over 20. Another feature that I loved on CobraMan27's Dodgeball game was that idea that when you move your mouse over a button, it changes colour. It really makes it look professional, and it's so common in many of the games that you see and play across Scratch and even on Xbox and PC and PlayStation. So what you need to do for this is you need to have another if and else. If you use just an if, then it will change, but then it won't change back again. And what you're going to use is if touching the mouse pointer, and make sure it's in a forever block. So let's see this in action. Forever, as long as my mouse pointer is on top of Scratch Cat, it will change. And when I move him off, it goes back to normal again. And so on your button, you would just have a button with a green background and a grey background, and it switches between. Just like this on Cobra Man 27's. And I think we'll stop it there for today. Day 2 of 12 Games of Christmas. Please do keep sharing your games, sharing your top tips. I am going to be dropping some more top tips over the next few days as well from you guys. But I will see you on day 3.